NRP, NRP party, what we voting for? NRP party, what we voting for? These are the things we gonna do for you. These are the things we gonna do for you.
NRP puts Nevis and its people first. Positivity and inclusivity, not negativity and divisiveness. Witness the rise of a green and blue economy that will benefit all the people of Nevis. NRP brings projects and completes projects for the people. Only NRP can deliver renewable energy, food security, and job sustainability. We understand the necessity of small businesses and will offer every support. Better educational opportunities through scholarships and applicable technology. Your health is our major concern. All will come to Nevis under NRP. NRP, Nevis Reformation Party. Change must come, not just to some, but to all.
NRP, NRP, NRP,
Nevis! I hope them hear this. NRP, Nevis Reformation Party. Show me you one if you're voting. For NRP, you know we voting. Show me you one. Oh, yeah. Hey. We voting for NRP, the performance party. The other party a comedy like them want for your coming movie. We vote NRP, the performance party. The other party a comedy like them want for your coming movie. Show me you one if you're voting. For NRP, you know we voting. Show me you one if you're voting. For progress, I got this feeling, wonderful feeling. Let me see the and them not touch out the ceiling. We gonna live in love again. I got this feeling, wonderful feeling. Keep the faith and keep on believing. We overcome this stress one day. NRP, I got this feeling, wonderful feeling. Let me see the and them not touch out the ceiling. NRP, they punch up again. I got this feeling, wonderful feeling. Keep the faith and keep on believing. We overcome this stress one day. I'm voting for NRP, the performance party. The other party a comedy like them want for your coming movie. We voting for NRP, the performance party. The other party a comedy like them want for your coming movie. So we got to preserve what we got. Sweet Nevis, we have to take it back. We need more jobs for the youths on the block. More positivity, no negativity. Oh Lord, love for the ladies and the babies. Everybody, we need a better Nevis, a better Nevis, a better Nevis. Whoa, we voting for NRP, the performance party. The other party a comedy like them want for a coming movie. We vote NRP, the performance party. The other party a comedy like them want for a coming movie. Vote, 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 vote. Wave the green flag them. Oh, yeah. So show me you one if you're voting. Show me you one if you're voting. For NRP, you know we're voting. Sister Janice, you know we're voting. Voting, voting, voting. Oh, la, 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 la. Hey. Oh, yeah. I'm voting for NRP, the performance party. The other party a comedy like them want for a coming movie. We vote NRP, the performance party. The other party a comedy. Whoa, yeah. I got this.
Nevis first. Nevis first. Hey, Janice the for the people. She's a good leader. Protect your pride and lose character. Nevis our first priority. Janice shine bright, coulda never dim. She the for the people. She's a good leader. Protect your pride and lose character. Nevis our first priority. Janice shine bright, coulda never dim. Nevis our our first priority. Change must come in this economy. Janice, take a look on society. Nevis can't go back to poverty. Find this part of prosperity. Good vibes, rev off the energy. Nevis is a place where you wanna be. Let me tell you about Janice. She no follow back her people. She know you know where you went to. Section different style, different flow. Positive and up and up so the thing go. Good and evil could never ever mingle. No. She no go that we understand. We understand. Janice no follow people. She's a good leader. Protect your Nevis first. Nevis first. Hey. Janice the follow people. She's a good leader. Protect your pride and lose character. Nevis our first priority. Janice shine bright, coulda never dim. She no follow people. She's a good leader. Protect your pride and lose character. Nevis our first priority. Janice shine bright, coulda never dim. Nevis our first priority. Change must come in this economy. Janice, take a look on society. Nevis can't go back to poverty. Find this part of prosperity. Good vibes, rev off the energy. Nevis is a place where you wanna be. Let me tell you about Janice. She no follow back her people. She know you know where you went to. Section different style, different flow. Positive and up so the thing go. Good and evil could never ever mingle. No. She no go that we understand. We understand. Janice no follow people. She's a good leader. Protect your pride and lose character. Nevis our first priority. Janice shine bright, coulda never dim. She no follow people. She's a good leader. Protect your pride and lose character. Nevis our first priority. Janice shine bright, coulda never dim. St. James people, vote for Janice, vote for NRP.
Jenna, Illa, boss of them. Most time we die forever. Fool where you feel, man, I pray for. Depart from the king, I will never. As he keep high strong under pressure. Show me the hearts of my friends and my family. Reveal the plans of my enemies. Show me who real and all who I wanna be. Show me the things where they don't want me to see. In a me Gideon boots and me suit up. In a your army so them can't recruit us. One up all wicked and fake and all who are hate and me burn all the Judas. Many a call but still I don't choose us. Roll with the pride, none of them can refuse us. And me a stand up in front all of them with me sword and me shield and I ask them a who first. Most time we die forever. Fool where you feel, man, I pray for. Depart from the king, I will never. As he keep high strong under pressure. Show me the hearts of my friends and my family. Reveal the plans of my enemies. Show me who real and all who I wanna be. Show me the things where they don't want me to see. Me pan a mission, me nah lose sight. David took alliance, so me nah use hype. Never too loud, me a the quiet type. Me not just run in a battle, everything got to precise. So you know me observant. Me humble, me a still a see I servant. The war real man a lion to a serpent. Born ready, you me die up on the forefront. Most time we die forever. Fool where you feel, man, I pray for. Depart from the king, I will never. As he keep high strong under pressure. Show me the hearts of my friends and my family. Reveal the plans of my enemies. Show me who real and all who I wanna be. Show me the things where they don't want me to see. In a me Gideon boots and me suit up. In a your army so them can't recruit us. One up all wicked and fake and all who are hate and me burn all the Judas. Many a call but still I don't choose us. Roll with the pride, none of them can refuse us. And me a stand up in front all of them with me sword and me shield and I ask them a who first.
Yes, yes, I gotta feed my mind. heart and soul. Asking for strength from the Most High, so I can go anywhere I wanna, yeah, anywhere I need it. I'm not the valley up, let me not leave you. Not just a soul vision sharp like eagle. I gotta free my mind, heart and soul. Asking for strength from the Most High, so I can go anywhere I wanna, yeah, anywhere I need it. I'm not the valley up, let me not leave you. Not just a soul vision sharp like eagle. Free up me mind like me pan a vacation. Me no play, not even PlayStation. Loud so turned up, me even hear Satan. Just stay in front like the butcher apron. Done na me pay and expect me fi scrape pan. Go get the bread youth, what that you a wait pan. The system no like help we black people stay strong. Them rather help white Chinese and Asian. I gotta free my mind, heart and soul. Asking for strength from the Most High, so I can go anywhere I wanna, yeah, anywhere I need it. I'm not the valley up, let me not leave you. Not just a soul vision sharp like eagle. I gotta free my mind, heart and soul. Asking for strength from the Most High, so I can go anywhere I wanna, yeah, anywhere I need it. I'm not the valley up, let me not leave you. Not just a soul vision sharp like eagle. My brain can't the under shackle. Man a ball and me know about tackle. Get the hardest fight, still take on the battle. Something in the back of me head, I say them not go stop you. And me say and the brakes, but not take off the chattel. Waves are like top cock, a fly off the buckle. Just wait until I see you make it. Yeah, you open up now, things start to happen. I gotta free my mind, heart and soul. Asking for strength from the Most High, so I can go anywhere I wanna, yeah, anywhere I need it. I'm not the valley up, let me not leave you. Not just a soul vision sharp like eagle. I gotta free my mind, heart and soul. Asking for strength from the Most High, so I can go anywhere I wanna, yeah, anywhere I need it. I'm not the valley up, let me not leave you. Not just a soul vision sharp like eagle. Trust me when mind get freed up, pain get healed up, stress get deed up. Hey, all when me broke like teacup, keep me head high still, no time now weak out. Now lose no heat and ease out. Jaja all do me fire, still you feel close. Even if at tough times me thugs them still close. Many work hard but them vex who the king close. I gotta free my mind, heart and soul. Asking for strength from the Most High, so I can go anywhere I wanna, yeah, anywhere I need it. I'm not the valley up, let me not leave you. Not just a soul vision sharp like eagle. I gotta free my mind, heart and soul. Asking for strength from the Most High, so I can go anywhere I wanna, yeah, anywhere I need it. I'm not the valley up, let me not leave you. Not just a soul vision sharp like eagle. We say the more them fight and the more man name call. Them can't intimidate because we are brave heart.
It's your boy Max Tony representing for brave heart, sound straight out of Nevis. You done.
Them can't intimidate because we are brave heart. We say the more them fight and the more man name call. Them can't intimidate because we are brave heart. All the hype them a hype, you no see the hype we're up. Them can't intimidate because we are brave heart. Yeah, no me step inna the valley of death. Me no fear hypocrite and me no fear flesh. Tattoo on me left hand, me say fearless. Me no care who a group up, couldn't care less. No care who a pretend, say me fear them. They want kill me, but none of them don't build me. And I want friggin' done. Used to perform for one friggin' grand. Now everybody want one friggin' man. Me we kill you all of them with one friggin' song. Step to me, you step in at the quicksand. They want me dead quick, they shame me live long. They claim they med sick, they fail the exam. Me drop me next to get everyone attention. We say the more them fight and the more man name call. Them can't intimidate because we are brave heart. 3 quarters I SK till we say the thing shot. Them can't intimidate because we are brave heart. We say the more them fight and the more man name call. Them can't intimidate because we are brave heart. All the hype them a hype, you no see the hype we're up.
can't intimidate because we are brave heart. Brave heart, hotter than the grabber man. Brave heart like Butchie and Shabba man. Stay smart people, we don't follow. You don't know what she want, she go ask your mother. We go through the flames and the fireman still I get praise like David Radda. The walls is the power we slide them, shame them, can't believe it's not butter. I want friggin' Dan, used to perform for one friggin' grand. Me no follow back a gang, I am me own man. Sing me heart out, me top make up song. People that take side, no top back up wrong. Drive on the wrong side, you must put up bam. The she one with tilt and up strong. Man still a pull a cow, Nevis and jam. We say the more them fight and the more man name call. Them can't intimidate because we are brave heart. 3 quarters I escape till we say the thing shot. Them can't intimidate because we are brave heart.
Touching all the custody of fanatics all around the world. The UK ladies, my Taiwanese connection right now. You, my NYC sisters, Atlanta ladies, Miami hot mummies. You got it, you got it, you got it, you really got it. You got it, you got it, you got it, you really got it. One look, people Stevie Wonder can see why so many ladies are filled with envy.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna start this meeting in about 2 minutes. We're gonna start this meeting in about 2 minutes, so let us get prepared, let's get ready as we begin this round in the area of Brick Hill. And I ask for you to pay particular attention to our leader, your representative, Dr. Janice Nisbet. So I'll give you 2 minutes, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge. So I'll give you 2 minutes so that you can draw close and get everything ready. 2 minutes.
You really got it. One look, people Stevie Wonder can see why so many ladies are filled with envy. Don't you know that Insta fashion statement? That body must be heaven sent. You got it, you got it, you got it, you really got it. You got it, you got it, you got it, you really got it. Food all over. Food all over. You got the food all over. Food, ladies, you got it in the front, you got it in the back, you got it on both sides, not to mention the top. You got it in the front, you got it in the back, you got it on both sides, not to mention the top. Come down, come down, come down. Walk out, my girl, if you got it. Take center stage if you got it. Spin around, my girl, if you got it. Really, really, really got it. Push back, my girl, if you got it. Model and close, girl, if you got it. Bend and touch your toes if you got it. Really, really, really got it. Food all over. Food all over. You got the food all over. Food all over. Come here. Bring it up all the sex and meet this queens. SK Connections, you. Come here. More curves than in Division 9 and main road. Taken from the center page of a whole flawless skin. Just the start of the tale. This body, you can't post box on nail. You got it, you got it, you got it, you really got it. You got it, you got it, you got it, you really got it. Food all over. Food all over. You got the food all over.
Show me one if you're voting. For NRP, you know we voting. Show me one. We voting for NRP, the performance party. The other party a comedy like them want for a coming movie. We vote NRP, the performance party. The other party a comedy like them want for a coming movie. Show me you one if you're voting. For NRP, you know we voting. Show me you one if you're voting. For wonderful feeling. Let me see the young them not touch out the ceiling. We gonna live in love again. I got this feeling, wonderful feeling. Keep the faith and keep on believing. We overcome this stress one day.
Okay, let's. Happy people, let's get ready to rumble. I want to say good night to all of you who are listening us in the area of Brick Hill and all of the persons in St. John's who are connected with us. We say good evening to those who are overseas, who are listening to us via the media, Facebook, and other media houses. We say good night. We say good night to all of you. We ask that Sister Ermin, that you draw close as we welcome you to say our opening prayer and invoke God's presence with us. It is indeed a pleasure to be here once more in this famous spot. And tonight, we ask that you listen to the plans of the Nevis Reformation Party. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as I ask our sister to come, Ms. Griffin, and say an opening prayer for us before we get started. Welcome her, ladies and gentlemen.
Good night, NRP people. God is good all the time.
All the time.
And all the time.
Good.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you once again that we can gather here tonight to hear what our representatives have to say. Lord, I ask you to bless them. I ask you to guide them, and I ask you to strengthen them. Lord, we want to thank you for so many things. You have been so good to us, and because of your goodness, we want to give you thanks. Lord, I ask you, oh God, that they may be honest, they may be respectful, they may be true. Thank you again, and help them that whatever would be said and done here this evening, that it may not fall on deaf ears, and that we may not be hearers only, but doers. Bless everything. In your name I pray. Amen.
We thank you, Sister Griffin, for the prayers. And so I say again to you tonight, NRP people, NRP people, I want to say to you tonight that if there was ever a time for change in this country, the time is now. We are at a crossroad and we cannot take anything for granted. I want you to listen this evening because we are at a serious time. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to consider the message that comes from the platform of the Nevis Reformation Party. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we have offered to you the very best in your candidate, Janice Daniel Hodge. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as she not only leads the party, but as she prepares to lead you, the people of St. James, I say the time is right. And her time is now. And I ask you to consider why we are sending Janice Daniel Hodge to the Federal House. You see, the other side, the concerned citizens, stealers, have come and said to you that they're interested in fair share. But I ask you tonight, fair share for who? Because fair share was given just a week ago to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. The Prime Minister said that he gave everybody fair share, 10% for St. Kitts, 10% for Nevis. And the concerned citizens, stealers, have put their hands in the 10% and give you 5%. And so for that very reason, we are saying we will not tolerate dishonesty. And so we are asking you to put your vote for something different. Somebody who believes that you the people deserve your 10%. You the people deserve your fair share. And that person is Dr. Daniel Hodge. I want to say to you this evening that when you go to the grocery, do you recognize that the concerned citizens stealers have taken 50% of the money that you should buy food with? Do you understand that when you're going to buy medication, that the concerned citizens stealers have taken half of the money that you can buy medication with? And we are saying that has to stop. And we have somebody who is honest, who is true, and who is of the people of St. James. And I represent her tonight by standing here. I say go to the polls and vote for Dr. Daniel Hodge. Ladies and gentlemen, look around. Just look around. Let us take them one by one. Our hospital, they boast about that. But after 5 years, a project that should cost $18 million to complete, they have already spent 25. And it is not even halfway. And we are here tonight to ask them, where the money gone? Where the money gone? But ladies and gentlemen, again, the hands of the concerned citizens stealers have come into play. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I am saying to you that the people of Nevis deserve better representation. And that representation will come from the Nevis Reformation Party. I want to say to you, look at the Mondo track. A project that should have cost $12 million to complete. You don't have proper toilet facilities. You don't have proper seating. And still, they have spent already $15 million. And so again, we're asking, well, where the money gone? But then we see the hands of the concerned citizens, stealers, getting involved. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to you that just in the village of St. James, you have the police station. The police station. Something that should have cost just $1.4 million. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister says that he gave them $1 million. And then he had to come back and give them another $1 million. And then another 500,000. And the fire truck can't go in. The fire truck can't go in. But the money has disappeared. So the question is again, where the money gone? But then we see the hands of the concerned citizens, stealers. Now, ladies and gentlemen, look at the pier at Orly. Look at the pier at Orly. Have you ever gone there and the little boats touch the pier and you're moving from left to right? A project that should have cost just around $3 million. They have already spent $7 million. And you don't have proper seating. You don't have proper toilets. If rain comes, you got to go back in your car. Again, we see the hands of the concerned citizens' stealers. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think seriously of what the platform of the Nevis Reformation Party is bringing to you. But I want to say to you that we have a young man who is coming up now. A young man who is humble. A young man who comes to you to ask you, what can I do for you? I want you to put your hands together and come and stand for us and welcome our next speaker, Mr. Rohan. Come on, put your hands together for him.
NRP, Nevis Reformation Party. Nevis Reformation Party. We put Nevis first. We put Nevis first. Dr. Janice. Dr. Janice. Our party leader. Our party leader. Oh, them are gonna stop them speed there.
Good night, good night, good night.
NRP. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. NRP. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. NRP. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. NRP.
My NRP family, good night. Television's here and abroad, a pleasant good night to you. It is good to be Nevis 11 here in Brick Hill. It is time for us to restore order in number 11. It is time to return number 11 to its rightful owner, the Nevis Reformation Party. That is why we are in number 11. It is time for you to imagine a better Nevis. And it is time for you to join us in a new direction. A better Nevis for all of us. It is no secret that a federal election is upon us. And the Nevis Reformation Party is here, ready to provide honest, accountable, and responsible representation for our people. Our residents and citizens are at the heart of the decision-making process when it comes to the NRP. Because as we know, Nevis comes first. Nevis comes first. And if it comes fast and first always. I was in Nevis 10 a few days ago, and I asked, why hasn't the 400 million impacted Nevis 10? And Dr. Janice came and asked, well, she didn't ask. She said, well, it didn't impact Nevis 10. It hasn't impacted Nevis 11. And I'm sure Dr. Bartlett will tell you it hasn't impacted Nevis 9 either. But I'm told that the representatives on the other side for Nevis 10 and 11 don't know a thing about the 400 million. They have not a clue as to how the 400 was spent. But I will go as far as to say none of them know where the 400 million there. Well, that should tell you something. Because if we know that they got 400 million and they have not put forth any legislative agenda to use the 400 million to advance our people, then there is something sinister going on. We did some calculation in Nevis 10 and we came up with all the projects we have seen just under $200 million. Well, I ask again, where is the balance of that $400 million? And the reality is, because they had done nothing to grow the economy of Nevis, whatever was sent was what was keeping us afloat. And every year since 2017 was a deficit budget. Well, what if the $400 million didn't come? What if that 400 had never came? We would have been, paddling in deep water. We would have been in a bale of problems. We're still in trouble. Because imagine they have said to us, listen, give us all three. And the people agreed and gave them all three. They said to strengthen our hands. And yet they went to Basti, strong hands and not a leg to stand on. Nothing came to help our single parent homes or women-led homes or young men-led homes. Nothing came for our vulnerable. Nothing at all. And so during the pandemic, in the heart of the pandemic, when the rest of the world was saying, listen, in order to survive the pandemic and to come out of the pandemic, we have got to provide struggling families. We have got to provide the vulnerable among us with some money. In Mrs. Leading economists said that. And all the other countries did it. We did that at the federal level. But you could imagine what it would have been like if there were accountable men and women at the helm. When the federal government was giving 1,000, we could have manfully add on 500. We could have add on something else, and so people would have had a sense of normalcy in their existence. Being able to pay bills and to operate in a better space. A lot of people went through mental issues because they couldn't do what they normally did. And if we were, not we, if they were a caring government, they would have ensured that they did something for the struggling and did something for the most vulnerable among us. But that didn't happen. They say, are you resilient? Here is an increase in water. Are you resilient? Here is an increase in your waste collection. Are you resilient? Deal with the fuel surcharge. Well, what kind of representation is this? In a time when we are looking for the upward mobility of our people, this government is stepping on our backs. And it is time to say to them, we have had enough. Your time is up. Let us get into the next election, and you can stay in Nevis and find something else to do. Because come local election, we're giving you pink slips too. Find something to do early, because pink slips coming. Now, the heart of any representation at the federal level is a legislative agenda. And this NRP team is bringing to you an agenda that speaks to the upward mobility of our people. It speaks to the advancement of ideas that is going to propel Nevis well into the century. The next 20 years should reveal a new direction, a new way, a prosperous way for our people because of the agenda that we are going to put forward after this election. When we talk about energy and securing our energy, we are blessed. You see, we have sun, we have wind, and so we must be able to use those gifts from nature. We have heard a lot of talk about geothermal. Years and years upon this geothermal. Some $9 million already spent on the geothermal. And the other day I was reminded, you know, in Facebook you have memory. And I saw a memory there that suggested, I think was in 2013 or somewhere around there, 17, that the geothermal rig had left Jacksonville, Florida. Well, I wonder which route the rig is taking. Which route is it taking? Or is it lost in the Panama Canal? Because 5 years on, the rig hasn't arrived, and we have done nothing at the level, the federal level, to ensure that geothermal come to our people. And we must understand that it's not just geothermal, but what it means. See, a lot of us talk about geothermal, but does it mean for our people? It means quite a bit. You see, first off, geothermal means that you're paying less than your electricity bill. So if you're paying less than your electricity bill, it means you have more in your pocket. That means you can do other things with the money. With geothermal, it invites investors because you're saying, listen, it is cheaper to do business in Nevis. It is cheaper to do business in Nevis, and so you can see factories coming. And with that happening, it means that employment is being provided. So the geothermal thing isn't a simple thing. Isn't a political football to be kicked around in the face of an election and rile up people and say it is still on the table. I said it before, it's on your table, but Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge is coming to move forward with geothermal and to bring ease in the pockets of our people. That is what this NRP platform is about. Advancing our people, doing well for our people, giving them upward mobility, giving them hope for a brighter future. That is why we are here. We didn't come for the rah-rah and cussing and characters. We ain't got time for them things. Real business. Real business, because serious times call for serious people, and we are serious about advancing the cause of our Nevision family. 7 years in Bastia, and the only thing they can chalk up to their experience is their collection. That is the only thing they can shout about, because they did tell you they're not doing 2 jobs for free. And they did tell you that after the election, some of you unemployed by design will stay unemployed. They told you that, they didn't hide it. And the reality has come full circle, because a lot of you are still unemployed. But I want to tell you, a better day is coming. A new way is coming. Great opportunities are coming. And the design that they left to keep you down, my friends, the NRP is going to use it to build you up. 7 years in Bastia. Not a legislative agenda to push agriculture. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, that agriculture is an important facet in our development. Food security is important. And the young people must be at the heart of our food security. The thing is, the generation before has already impacted on Nevis. It is now time for the new, younger generation to impact on the way forward. And so our legislative agenda will call on agriculture and young people in agriculture, and to provide concessions on greenhouse and smart technology so that we can have higher yields contributing to our security. Food security is important. And so we want to promote agriculture, not just regular agriculture, but we want to promote agriculture that has added value. Agriculture that is going to provide some extra dollars for you. That when your yield comes in, you can sell some for agro-processing, and we can export some. Listen, we have neighbors who don't have the fertile land like we do. We can benefit from arrangements. Recently, I saw some that were here, and they were boasting about what we have. But we want to tell them greater is still to come, because the Nevis Reformation Party understands putting policies and programs in place that advances our people and grants them prosperity for the future. I want to tell us that we are leaders. We like to say we're small, but we're taller, attributed to the Jamaicans, but we use it nonetheless. But why are we always trying to play catch up? What is it that keeps us from moving ahead and being leaders, so that people can see that we are truly a people with vision? And so the cannabis production, that industry, is a multi-billion-dollar industry globally. Well, we have fertile land. We have young industrious people. We ain't even talking now about the recreational part of the use, because you could grow your 5 trees in your yard. But there is benefit in the medicinal part of cannabis. Why aren't we getting into that field? Why aren't we leading in that charge in the OACS? We are capable, we are able, and that, again, is going to grant our young people the opportunity to advance themselves, take care of their family, and for sure, it's going to give a boost to our economy. These are things that are possible, and we can do that once you elect the Nevis Reformation Party. We are a people, for some of us, unfortunately, who are content with just. You know, we say we can't do that because Nevis is small, or we can't do that because we come from a poor family. We can't do that because we don't have this. They say, I shouldn't because I have debt. It is funny that as people who have debt, you should not rise above your situations, but you should go to the poll to vote for them. How is that even the realities that we expect of ourselves? I am saying to you, no matter your situation, no matter where you come from, the NRP is setting a platform that is going to advance your lives, grant prosperity to your future, and enable you to say, I have done good for myself and my family. Be not afraid. A new direction is coming. A new hope is coming. Prosperity for all is on its way. I want to introduce you to a program of mine called STAR. And STAR is science, technology, and research. That is at the heart of where young people find themselves today. The artificial intelligence, the computers, the laptops, the apps, all of those things. That is the realm they find themselves. Our young people are as gifted, as talented, as creative, as industrious as any around the globe. The only problem they are facing is that we are not providing the opportunity. And I want to tell you, at a federal level, we are going to provide the opportunity to build out a STAR Institute, free of cost, to our young people who want to get into science and technology and do research. Believe you me, wonders can come when ordinary people are given the opportunity to provide extraordinary things. You not know what can come out of our young people. When you give them opportunity, anything is possible. Listen, the latest technology can come from Nevis. The latest medicinal advances can come from Nevis. The latest app development can come from Nevis. Anything that can be done globally can be done in Nevis. NRP is setting up to provide a venue for our young people to develop and harness their skills. That is why we are here. We have come not to waste time. Time waits on no man. It is our business to advance your business and to provide a safe and productive future for you. I want to tell you about the peace program. And a lot of people have had a lot to say about the peace program. And I recognize there are some who are trying to use it against us. And saying that we are anti-peace. The reality is the program in parts have done what it was designed to do. And nobody can question the level of peace we have enjoyed over the past 7 years. That is the reality. But the program has a higher calling. You see, the program isn't dependent on NRP, nor CCM, nor PAM, nor PLP, nor labor. The program, as it is set up, is dependent on money. It is the financing that keeps it going. We are saying to you that we must provide a space for those people who are on the program to be able to sustain themselves long after there is no financing available to pay for a peace program. And so we want to tell you that there is hope at the end of the tunnel. You can look past the life of yesteryear when you were filled with hate and rage. Let's get into rest. Now, let us rehabilitate. Let us empower through entrepreneurship, skills, and training. You see what that does? Is to provide, again, opportunities for our young men and women to build out a new life. To be able to say, yes, this was my past, NRP has provided for my future. That is what we want, for people to be truly rehabilitated, to be empowered, and to have some skills and training. You know, we talk about skills and training, and NRP sent young men off to Trinidad for skills and training. And today these young men are some of the best at their craft, the best at what they do. Unfortunately, only one group was able to go off. Listen, we have the technical know-how. We have the space. We don't need to send them off anymore. We need to build out our own technical school that provides training in all disciplines for our young people so that they can harness their skills, build on their crafts, start their own small businesses. Ultimately, all of this is to ensure that our people can provide for their families. You want to know why some politicians disappear on you? It is because they feel every time they're in your presence, you want to beg something. But it is of their own doing. You see, there are some politicians who right now blue vex. And that is because we have unearthed the reality that they continue to hold our constituents in a begging space. That is not how representation works. And I am saying to you, I am here because I believe in empowering our people, giving our people the resources to solve their own problems, giving them the space required so that they can grow individually and collectively as a family. That is what representation should be. Not holding people ransom and ensuring that at every election they are going to come back to you. And you can give them a little something here and a little something there. We have got to move past that. Our country only grows the way we want it to when our people are growing individually. I don't want for any constituent to feel that they can only grow at the hands of a politician. You should be able to grow at the hands of policies and programs, regardless of who is in power, set in stone for your advancement. That is what this Nevis Reformation Party is about. And that is where we are heading in this election. I'm going to end by telling you in Nevis 11 here in St. James, where potential runs at its highest. Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge is ready to unearth that potential. Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge is ready to open a plethora of ideas and plans that is going to be to your benefit. It is time for real representation in Nevis 11. It is time for real representation in St. James. And I want you to send a double message. I just don't, well, we're going to use one election to send two messages. We're sending the leader to Bastia. And we're sending home the current member in the local election. You can spend that however you want, but I'm telling you his days are numbered. No more Zook, he can go pitch marbles. The duck is in the building, and it is time for new prosperity. Listen, join the NRP. It's time to restore our peace reclaim our prosperity, and to ensure that we set ourselves for a better way. We look forward to seeing you. It has been my pleasure sharing some of what we have for you. And until next time, remember, I don't come anymore to ask you how I can help. I'm telling you now, I know I can help. This NRP is ready to move Nevis forward. Thank you and good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our next representative from Nevis 10 in the federal election, Mr. Rohan Ives. You know, we are saying serious times need serious people. Serious times need serious people. And so we are proud to bring to you Mr. Rohan Ives. Do you recognize his plans and his platform for you and your children when you represent and when he represents you in the federal election and go to Bastille? It's not all about he, himself, and he alone. It's about the future of your children, the future of Nevis. And if you are interested in the advancement of your children, then Rohan Ives in Nevis 10 will be your candidate. If you are interested in the advancement of the people of St. James, then Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge is your representative. You know, we speak about what can happen when you elect the Nevis Reformation Party. And I want to say to you, despite the hard times, that the future of Nevis is bright with the Nevis Reformation Party. If you need your children to be guaranteed a tertiary level education, then the Nevis Reformation Party is the party for your children. I want to say to you that we take health care very serious. We take health care very serious. And I want to say to you that the Nevis Reformation Party got 2 dialysis units here. And we were criticized for bringing them. We were told that they were not enough. But ladies and gentlemen, the people who say that people mattered most left them there to rot. And on top of that, the Taiwanese gave them 160,000 US dollars to help with dialysis. But again, the hands of the concerned citizens stealers. And so we ask the question from this platform, well, where the money gone? I am fed up of coming and people have sponsor card just to collect money to go to Bastille for treatment. I am fed up of having to go to barbecue every week for people to get money to go to Bastille. When we had the machines in Nevis that you can stay at home and be comfortable in your land receiving your treatment. And I ask you the question, would you take that chance again? Would you take that chance again? Because your lives may depend on the choice that you make. Your lives may depend on the choice that you make. And so I want to say to you that when you go to the polls, vote wisely. Vote for your health. Vote for your children. Vote for the Nevis Reformation Party. Rohan spoke about geothermal. And it is a real hurting issue Because we had already advanced the geothermal under the platform of the Nevis Reformation Party. And by now, the people of Nevis should have been enjoying lower electricity rates. But ladies and gentlemen, it got worse. The Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis said to the world that they gave the concerned citizens stealers an extra $7 million. But we were told in Nevis that all of that went into legal fees. Well, I asked you the question, well, who legal firm it went into? Who legal firm it went into? And I'm telling you, open your eyes and see the hands of the concerned citizens stealers. When NRP left government, we left a $30 million water project. A storm came, and Dr. Douglas then gave them an extra $7 million to catch up. And today, your water rates have increased 3 times, and you still can't get no water. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to make matters worse, what they have done is to put some taxes on your water. So if you were from a poor home and you were only paying the $13, they add on $25. Do you understand that the taxes is now higher than the water, its rate itself? That is the hands of the concerned citizens stealers. And I'm saying to you, Nevis, that you deserve better. Because in 2008, 2009, under the leadership of Joseph Parry and Carlisle Powell, we dug wells in Nevis that brought an extra 2 million gallons of water per day. But now you're getting higher water rates and no water. You're getting higher water rates and no water. I'm asking you again, do you want to take that chance with these people? Because we are in serious time. And serious time needs serious people. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you go to the polls and put an X for the other side, do you understand that you're wasting your vote? Do you understand that you're wasting your vote? Let us be true and honest. They have no friends with the current leadership in St. Kitts. They have no friends with Labour. They have very little friends because my palm friend tell me I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. So where you going to send them a St. Kitts for? Do not waste your vote. Do not waste your vote. I want to say to you that if you believe in a better Nevis, if you believe in a future that your children and your grandchildren can prosper, then you must come to the platform of the Nevis Reformation Party. If you believe that your children deserve a better education, then you must come to the Nevis Reformation Party. If you believe that your parents and your grandparents deserve better health care, then you come to the platform of the Nevis Reformation Party. If you believe in true and honest representation, if you believe in true and honest representation, then I said you have no further to look than our current leader and her team, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, Rohan Isles, and Patricia Bartlett will be your representative. True and honest leadership in this country. I don't want to stay in Nevis and have anybody laughing after us. Now, we are the laughing stock now. I don't want nobody to stay and laugh after us. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I am asking you this evening to give your representative, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, a chance to solve some of the problems that we have in Nevis. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that you have to remember your past in order to know where you're going. And so I ask you to put your hands together and welcome our next speaker. Experience matters, and the people of Nevis matters. Put your hands together and represent and stand up for honorable, because you're still honorable. Honorable, you're still honorable. You're still honorable. Come on, Mr. Hensy Daniel, and speak to the people of St. James.
St. James people, good night. You ready for the victory? Are you ready to rumble with the Nevis Reformation Party? I can't hear you. I want the noise to be made so that when the political leader comes, you will come down like that mighty army. Brothers and sisters, you have a group of men in CCM say, we have a group of men in CCM that say they get fired and you must hire them. Well, tell me something, people. Those of you who hire people, a man comes to you and say, I just get fired from Nisbet Plantation Inn, and you're the manager of Montpelier. You don't want to hear what make he get fired? You won't go ask him why he get fired? Have they told you why you get fired? Have they told you why they get fired? No. So if you can't say why you get fired, you can't be rehired. You cannot be rehired. You understand that? Do you not agree with that? I am the manager of Montpelier. You just get fired from Nisbet and you walk in Montpelier just so? No questioning. No, that can't work. So brothers and sisters, we have 3 candidates for you. In number 9, Dr. Patricia Bartlett. In number 10, Rohan Isles. And you hear him, it sound like he done in the government already. It sound like he in the government already. And in number 11, I'm going to count out because I want to hear you in number 11. Butler's people, you ready? Brick Hill people, you ready? Brick Hill people, I'm not hear you because me right here in Brick Hill. Brick Hill people, you ready? Newcastle, where are you? Fountain, where are you? Camps, where are you? All of you have a responsibility to bring Janice to the parliament in St. Kitts. Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Brothers and sisters, we have serious business to take care of in Bastille. Brothers and sisters, the team is saying to us that when they get to Bastille, they are going to deliver for us a national health insurance so that children, women, young people, seniors will carry a card and you get the national insurance. We in the executive of the Nevis Reformation Party have been discussing how we will fund it and what will be required. Brothers and sisters, if we tell you so, we're going to do it because you must believe us. When the team tells you that they're going to send people to college for free, you must believe them because we do it already. In the last government, We sent 251 people to college. So we do it already, and we're going to do it again under the Nevis Reformation Party. When Janice tells you that we are going to explore all the possibilities with the marine resources, the resources of the sea, you must believe her because she do it already. She walk within Newcastle. Fishermen, she doing it. As we say in Spanish, paso a paso, step by step. We are going to do it for you. Los Españoles. Oh, good. Brothers and sisters, when we say to you that we are going to send the people to skills training, do you believe us? We do it already. We do it already. When we say that we are going to introduce a kinder, gentler society, do you believe us? We do it already. We are all embracing. We spread the NRP green tent, and we say to all our brothers and sisters, come in, come out of that, and come in at this. When we spread the NRP green tent, we say to the brothers and sisters in the OECS, in CARICOM, from wherever in the Commonwealth, every creed and race can find an equal place in the Nevis Reformation Party. And I say to all of you from the OECS, our brothers and sisters, those from the CARICOM countries, just remember, we came from Africa, the same trip, same ship. They only drop us off in the different islands. So we are one people. And don't let anybody tell you that we in the Nevis Reformation Party have anything against anybody. Brothers and sisters, we are all here to make a living, to help our brothers and sisters, help our families. And so we welcome all of you under the tent. And to our brothers and sisters from Santo Domingo, we say bienvenida, bienvenida. And we say to you, don't let anybody fool you. The people of Nevis have no difficulty with you. And don't let anybody score any cheap political points about NRP don't like foreigners. You see, the problem is they are calling you foreigners. We are calling you our brothers and sisters. They are calling you foreigners, but we are calling you our brothers and sisters from San Pedro de Macorís and from La Romana in Santo Domingo. Okay? We are calling you our brothers and sisters from Choiseul in St. Lucia, from Layou in St. Vincent, from Calibishi. We are calling you from those countries because you look like us. And we came on the same ship, same trip, so there is nothing foreign about you. So tell them, don't forward with you. You're not no foreigner. You are our brothers and sisters. And we in the Nevis Reformation Party are happy to have you. And we are asking you to help us to rumble, help us to change the government, help us to change the government, because the change that you bring will help all of us. Brothers and sisters, when our colleagues who are the candidates say to you that we are going to develop a nationwide program for single mothers, you must believe them. We do it already, and we're going to do it again. And I tell you, you see that CCM? We bang them already, and we're going to bang them again. We bang them already, and we must bang them again. Brothers and sisters, one thing is certain. Every time that this country named Nevis was going down, up came the Nevis Reformation Party. After the sinking of the Christina, In 1917, August, came the NRP in October 1970. In 1980, we worked with PAM to form a government to bring Nevis to independence. In 1983, in 2006, we worked with Labour. Not one of them could have forward go fire us. You forward. We were working as good as them. We in Nevis are as good as any and better than many. Let's repeat it. Good as any and better than many. Music. Let's get a little piece on that. Better than many. Good as any and better than many. And so, brothers and sisters, we say to you, give Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge your vote. Because you know why? When you see Janice, what you see is what you get. Do you agree with me? What you see is what you get. The other fellow got to parade, change your socks, change your suit, cook pan TV when man here struggle can cook. But he, the premier, imagine we have a premier, fellas, showing off lobster and TV, and man down by Rams putting back Vienna sausage and say, look, let me see if three could do, not four. Man putting back sardine, and the premier of the country is on TV showing off lobster. Now tell me, brothers and sisters, that is the height of insensitivity, and is you put him there, you know? Brothers and sisters, we have a premier that goes home every night and laugh after Nevis people. He said, look, when he go home at night time, he pinch himself and say, look at the old Papi Shulaikabi. Imagine an old Papi Shulaikabi. I come to government and won't bring a thing. And look here, look how long I have. I've been in St. Kitts now since 2007. And the only Mark that brings something from St. Kitts is Mark Twain. The only Mark that brings something from St. Kitts is Mark Twain. Oh my Lord. So tell me something. Who you would pick? Which one of the Mark that you would go upon? Mark Brantley or Mark Twain? Here, let me hear you. Mark Twain. Only Mark Twain I bring things. And then come back and complain. But let me tell you, Janice is a worker. Mark is a shirker. Mark is a shirker. Janice is a worker. Who do you want in the parliament? Workers, 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 not shirkers. You know, brothers and sisters, I have to remind myself of my good friend Cannon. My good friend Cannon at Cox says, you know, when we go down there to campaign, Cannon said, look, go by the caterpillar. Them there walk all over the place. Me am pillar. So Janice is a pillar. Mark is a caterpillar. You walk all over the place. And look, sympathy. Now we don't get fired. If you want to show that you're a man, resign from the government. You should have resigned, not get fired, and then when Timothy put on the bull pistol upon you, come and leave us a ball. Ball if to who? Not us. We in NRP didn't send you down there. Timothy put the bull pistol upon him. He come up here, come ball. That has nothing to do with us. That has nothing to do with us. You must learn to go walk. Timothy said they fired them because they're lazy. They wouldn't work. Janice is going to work morning, noon, and night for you, the people of this country. And I tell you something, Janice don't have, you see, there is a difference. Look at the NRP people and you see. See the leaders. You see the late Sir Simeon Daniel? Nobody, you would come to Nevis. And when you met Weston Paris, because of the chat Weston had, you would think that is Weston is the politician and Mr. Daniel are the Governor General. But Mr. Daniel cool, calm, organized, 4 seasons, financial services, 6 farm within 6 months, Bank of Nevis, land reform. You understand, brothers and sisters? That doesn't come with noise and show off and show self. That comes with thinking and commitment to the poor people of the country. That comes with hard work. And in like manner, Janice is going to sit down in a systematic, organized way and do the work for you, the people of the country. And let us stop get away. Let us now get away from this bluster business, show self business. Show self don't put food on the table, brothers and sisters. Organized hard work does it. Organized hard work does it. I want to ask a question. You know anybody who get fired for outstanding performance? You gone kind of quiet. Anybody get fired for outstanding performance? No, you wouldn't perform, so Timothy put the bull pistol upon them, learn to go walk. Go walk. And, well, that are politics. That are politics. So, brothers and sisters, I have come tonight because I want to make sure that everybody understands that we have a federal election to win, and a federal election has consequences. Brothers and sisters, for all the years we have been together with Sin Kids, you ever see anything like this? Sin Kids get 10% and we get 5%. And you know there was a year Mr. Daniel, then Premier, was going to pay, ready to pay the double salary in Nevis. And Dr. Simmons said, hold on a while, let me see if I find the money. You understand what I'm telling you? We had the money for the double salary before St. Kitts. You understand? We are about work and about the efforts. Now, brothers and sisters, if Janice got 400 million, you don't believe Janice would have tell you how it's spent? Tell me if you believe so. Make noise and tell me so. Tell me hard. Tell me hard. Do you not believe Janice would have spent some with children, on education, on health, on geothermal, and all these things? And so, brothers and sisters, I have told you that if we go to the polls, mind you, Mark and them down there laughing at us, you know. Look by Eric. Eric say, I'm going down there, and not Kane, and Jeffers say, I'm taking to pay. Brothers and sisters, it was all about salary for them. But I'm saying to you, give Sister Janice Daniel Hodge your vote, because that vote will mean something. It will mean development in education and the whole works. And so, brothers and sisters, I leave you with this one thought, that in Nevis, elections have consequences. Elections have consequences. And Nevis people, we are saying to you, go and vote for Janice. DJ, please give me a little music so that I could get the people to agree with me. Vote for Janice. Let me hear you after 3. Vote for Janice. Vote for Janice. Vote for Janice. Vote for Janice. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Nevis first. Nevis first. Nevis first.
My people of St. James, the time is here and the time is now. The time for your representative. The time for the leader of the Nevis Reformation Party.
The time that you will go to the polls and vote for the next person to go to Bastille. I want to hear you because she's the next people to put the people of Nevis first. And if you believe that the people of Nevis come first, then you must appreciate that the leader of the Nevis Reformation Party has brought to you the people of St. James, Dr. Dennis Daniel Hodge, your next parliamentary representative.
Nevis first.
Nevis first.
Nevis first.
Nevis first. Everybody, good night. One thing I must say about our NRP, we come in all styles. You see the gentlemen? Roll and rumble. Roll and rumble. All my NRP people, I want to see you come close. I want to see everybody in front of me. Please come close. Come close. Let me see everybody. All the NRP people. Good night. Good night. Good night. My first meeting here in St. James's. We all know that we're here because a federal election is upon us. And I want everybody to understand that this coming election is like no other election. It is like no other election. Everybody come close. This is like no other election. It's a federal election. And the reason why we are here is because we need proper representation. We have not received the representation that we need. We have not received the representation, and that is why we are here today. Now, we understand that the last federal election, people took a chance. They took a chance because they believed that CCM was going to go to St. Kitts and bring back the fair share. They even said, give us all three. Strengthen our hands, and we will go to St. Kitts to bring back the fair share. What did they bring back? What did they bring back? All three went to St. Kitts and came back with their empty hands. Now, why is that such a big problem? That is such a big problem because for all of these years, Nevis has been able to sustain itself until the CCM government. And now that we are 100% dependent on St. Kitts, they go to St. Kitts, get fired, and bring back nothing. So I'm saying to you tonight, the reason why this election has to be the most important election is because you need people who are going to go to St. Kitts to ensure that you get your fair share. Now, we hear people saying that the relationship was like a husband and a wife. And when everything else fails, that's when you come out and you said, oh, we were having problems. But you see, in 2020, when they campaigned, they did not tell you that there were any problems. They made you believe that the prime minister is the best prime minister in the world. They made you believe that everything was working well. Because what? They even got us to vote to allow 3 of them to go to St. Kitts because it was the best relationship. It's the best thing that ever happened to St. Kitts and Nevis. And then after a while, what did they say? Well, we were just keeping it a secret because we were working on it. But the part I don't understand is when they say everything else failed. But what is the everything? You go to Parliament, that is where you're supposed to pass the rules. That is where you're supposed to make the change. And so we cannot believe them when they say that they tried, because we know they did not try. If they tried, they would be able to say, we tabled a bill. We tabled a bill, and the rest of our colleagues did not support it. But they did absolutely nothing. And it was for 7 years. 7 years. Budget after budget. Election after election. And nothing was done to get our fair share. So my people of Nevis, I am saying, you need to have proper representation. You need people who can understand that when you go to Sinkis, you're going there to ensure that you have the legislation so that no longer we have to beg, no longer do we have to go behind and ask Mr. Prime Minister, please to give us this, please to give us that. And you know what is so bad about this situation? The late Honorable Vance Armory would have created the document, which is the Charlestown Accord, and said this is what is going to deliver Nevis its fair share. And tell me, 7 years, 3 representatives, and they came back from Sinkis with absolutely nothing. And so, you know, the Charlestown Accord is of no value now because, of course, team unity, mash up. Now tell me why you're supposed to go to the federal government to get fair share. You mash up the federal government, and then you're going to come and say, send me back to the federal government to do what you couldn't do for 7 years. Does that make sense? No, they must understand. They must understand. Because they themselves would have said that they need to pass legislation. They need to pass legislation, but they got lazy. But you know what woke them up? You know what made them come out now, start talking about this fair share? When they started to feel the heat of NRP. When they started to feel the heat of NRP, they came and said, oh, we're going to mash up the federal and we want fair share. Oh, it is not going to work. It is not going to work. And so we have to understand that when we have been misled as a people, it's not that we were misled, you know, because they had these 3 seats and they were supposed to do what was necessary in Parliament, and they didn't do it. And so you cannot come back with the same story and say, this is what we want to do. Now, when we speak about legislation, because that is what you do in the House of Assembly in Sinkis, but all of a sudden, you hear these people have been there, and certain things happening, and they don't know anything about this. They don't know about peace. They don't know about STEP. They don't know about PAP. They don't know about anything. So you must ask what they're doing in Sinkis. No, I've heard them said, we have only 71 people in Nevis in the peace, and we want our fair share of peace as well. But why you mash up the government and come out here now? The people here cannot help you. That is what you needed to do in government. But on one hand, they don't know anything that's going on in the federal government. They don't know anything that's going on. But when something looks good, oh, we were part of the decision making to get double salary. Oh, we support the peace program. So if you're in Parliament, when all of these things are being done, and you cannot ensure that Nevis gets its fair share, how are you going to design a program and then come back and say, we're not getting our fair share? Didn't you pass these bills in cabinet? Weren't you a part of the decision making? And so what it appears is that it was a different type of representation, not representation to benefit the people of Nevis. It was not representation for the people of Nevis. And this is why we say it is bad enough if the Minister of Foreign Affairs said he has been traveling all over the world to get the best passports. And yes, it's the best passport. But now there are 2 others. So the interesting thing is, how can we now say we have the best passport, bringing in the most money, but we're still not getting ours? We're still not getting ours. But you know what the problem is? Because 3 of them went down, but it's the same as if you only had 1. Because 1 make a mistake and did not table the bill. You want to tell me the other 2 could not say, Premier, realize that we didn't table this bill, right? But what happened? You would not expect any better, because you hear what they say? We have our leader, and if we have to follow him to hell, they're going to follow him to hell. So they go down to St. Kitts, and not one of them did anything for the betterment of Nevis. And that is the problem that we have. Now, when you look at NRP, and you look at our team of candidates for the federal government, tell me if you think I overlooked something. You see our member for number 10, the Rohan Isles. I'm sure if I miss something, I could look over and say, Brother Rohan, did I miss something? I'm sure I could look to the other side and say, Dr. Bartlett, did I miss something? Because I do not think that I am mightier than anybody else. And I do not think that I am the only one that can make decisions. And so NRP, you have a team of people. You have a team, 3 representatives. And together we will work to make sure that Nevis gets its fair share. We're not going to just follow each other to the extent where Nevis cannot benefit. And so I say, NRP presents to you a team of 3 candidates. And each one of us have a responsibility to ensure that we represent Nevis, because we have always said Nevis is our first priority. And whether it is here in Nevis or in Bastia or in Scotland, wherever across the world we have to go, we must know that Nevis is the reason why we are doing what we do, and Nevis must always be our first priority. Now, one of the things we recognize is that this current CCM administration feels that they do not have to give an account. They do not have to go to your account. We send them to St. Kitts to represent us. They go down and they manage to get $400 million. But they don't have to tell us what they do with it. They don't have to tell us what they did with it. And so, you cannot expect to run a country without a plan, without a design. We look at the hospital. With $400 million, the hospital is still not finished. But that is not the only issue. You heard about the dialysis treatment earlier. Now tell me why you go to St. Kitts, you get $400 million, and we still have to be having fundraisers for our dialysis patients. We must understand that it's more than that. But it's just the attitude. It is just the attitude that says these representatives do not care about the people of Nevis. You go down and you look at the water taxi pier. And with $400 million, we cannot have a proper parking area. We cannot have a proper waiting area. And that just tells you that these people do not care. They feel like we could just throw something down and say that's good enough for Nevis people. And when it's time for election, we'll come around and talk about fair share, and they're going to put us back in. But they did it one too many times, because they're not going back to St. Kitts. They went and they failed. They went and they failed. They have not delivered, and they cannot go back to St. Kitts. They do not care. They do not care, and as far as they're concerned, as the Premier would have said, well, the boats, them don't come up to the pier, and that is good enough for Nevis. And we already know that that is not how it works. The police station that is built here in Newcastle, the firemen cannot fit in the rooms properly. The fire truck cannot fit. You are building for the future. And you're supposed to build a larger facility than what you have now. Not now you have to go back and get a smaller fire truck so that it can fit into the facility. St. James, this is the largest constituency. Largest. And instead of getting larger and being more progressive, the decisions of the CCM is putting Nevis backwards. We cannot afford to leave the future of Nevis in the hands of CCM again. Now, you see, NRP is a party that we plan out our future. And we know what we would want to be able to do. We don't just get up and start a project. And it seems as if every project that CCM starts, there's an issue with it. Now they came and they said the road from Shaw's Road up to Fountain. We're going to do this to connect the 2 villages. Halfway they realize they cannot finish the road. Why they cannot finish the road? Why they didn't finish the road? Somebody passed and they did not have the necessary agreement. Well, how can you begin a project without getting all of your necessary documents in place? And this is just the same way that we see the problem in the hospital. Start and have to knock down and start. Knock down and start over. And this is not going to help Nevis to get advanced. And so these are the things that we must recognize if we want to move Nevis forward. We must ensure that we have people who, one, understand and care about the people of Nevis and not just doing projects for personal gain. The Island Main Road that we see stop there at Cliff Dwellers, $400 million. $400 million. We even send over our equipment to help St. Kitts build their roads. But our road is over here getting worse and worse. We cannot afford for Nevis to go backwards. We must ensure that you have people who care about Nevis. And that is why we say whatever we do, it is for the benefit of the people of Nevis. Nevis is always our first priority wherever we go and whatever we have to do. Now, when we look at representation, we must understand that creating jobs is a major responsibility of the government. And we can see on the NRP how Nevis prospered. We had banks, we have the Four Seasons Hotel, the Mount Nevis Hotel, etc. Under the CCM government, you are not seeing the type of development. And do you think it's because people weren't interested? There was a project over at Northern Point, the Windham project. Why that project could not come to fruition? Why people in St. James's or in Nevis 11 not able to have employment opportunities? And so we say sometimes you have to lose a little sometimes to win, because you must know that you need jobs for your people. And so you do whatever you can. You do manage to get some investors come to the shore. You must do whatever you can to ensure that the project is built. The reason why you want to make sure the project is built is because you want to provide jobs for your people. It's not a matter of just making a deal here and making a deal there. There was a project that was supposed to be at Herbert's Beach as well. That project never happened. And if we're really serious about providing jobs for people and providing a better future, we would do whatever it takes in order to get these projects off the ground. But when you have a government that does not care about whether the people have work, because they figure when it's an election time again, they'll come around and offer some little something, and then you go right back to not having employment opportunities. Now, we speak about all this secrecy that was going on in the federal government. We look at our airport. What has become of our airport? 2 agreements have been signed, and nobody can see what these agreements are about. This is not the way you do major development. Your people must have some input. You must have some say as to how we're going to develop. And so this government continues to operate as if they do not have to give an account to the people who elected them. They do not have to give an account to the people, and so they could sign deals after deals for airports and piers, etc., and the people do not know anything. And we're saying that is not the way. The people of Nevis deserves better. The people of Nevis needs to be able to have a say in how Nevis is being developed. Not whatever I say, that is how it's supposed to go. There's a project going on down at Potworks, and the people in Nevis do not know up to this day what that project is about. Is that what we want? It's supposed to be a research park. We do not want Nevis to be developed, and we are sitting here, we have no idea how our island is being developed. And so for transparency, for accountability, for a better Nevis, NRP is always the best party for Nevis. Now, we're still talking about representation and transparency. And we know that the fisheries in Nevis has been struggling. And we can see under CCM, the federal legislation that deals with fisheries was changed, taking the authority that Nevis had for fisheries from Nevis, and now it is on the federal program. And there is no reason why our fishers in Nevis should be struggling the way that they are. Not when we have the minister the federal minister responsible for fisheries and the same local minister responsible for fisheries. Because when you talk about representation and when you talk about fair share, if the government in St. Kitts puts a grant proposal together to help the fisheries in St. Kitts, then it must also have a fair share for the fishers in Nevis. And these are the things we're saying. You must have representation. You must have people who genuinely care. People who care about the livelihoods of others. And these are the things that we're not seeing right now. So, what is required when you go to the St. Kitts? You must ensure that whatever legislation is passed, you understand how it's going to impact Nevis. Nevis is our first priority. No legislation should pass and we do not know what it's about. Somebody did it, somebody was away. That is not the way it works. And that's why we're going to end up exactly how we are now, dependent on St. Kitts, and mash up the government, and no means, but now we must send them back to St. Kitts. Now, when we look at Nevis 11, when we look at some of the initiatives that people in the community were trying to develop to help provide opportunities, we see where this government ignored. Right here in St. James's, I'm sure we can recall when we had Blues Festival. So many people looked forward to Blues Festival because it was an area where you can have your vending, brought in tourists, etc. And under this government, there's no more Blues Festival. Look at Winfest. Just this past week, there was supposed to be a Winfest. These are the type of initiatives where the government is supposed to support and to help because it provides an opportunity for our people. And we are saying that under this government, most of these activities, you see, are declining. Now, the concern must be when hotels are closed, imagine the hundreds of people who are out of work. What has been done to help relieve the hardship that people are experiencing? We have seen Nisbet Plantation close. We have seen Mount Nevis close. And there is nothing that has been put in place to say this is to help the people who have been struggling from these closures. And so we must understand that your government is there to ensure that there are opportunities for people to be making a proper living. And so it is not surprising that this government has not really developed Nevis in any meaningful way. And the sad thing about it is that when NRP has developed projects, this government gets into power and abandons those projects. And when we speak about our fishers and the struggles that they have, just imagine on the NRP you had a fisheries complex approved, ready to be constructed, and this government abandoned that project. Abandoned the project. And so we must understand that if you cannot relate to the people, if you cannot understand that we need to help people, then we're going to end up going backwards and again, fully dependent on St. Kitts to the point now where we understand that this federal election is the most important federal election, and you must have people who care and understand and who wants to represent Nevis and not going for their own self-purposes. And so for this election, we must all recognize 5 more years under CCM government, high water bills, high waste disposal bills, high electricity bills. Can we afford to continue in that direction? $400 million that NRP never received, and you did not see these increase in bills. And when we even look at electricity, small businesses struggling, because that is, when you talk to them, they'll tell you this is the highest cost of business for them. And we were in a position where we could have had geothermal energy in place. But notwithstanding that we do not have that in place right now, you must be able to have a government that understands, even though these prices keep increasing, the government must find a way to help the people get through these rough times. But instead of that, this government increased the bills. People are out of work because of the pandemic, out of work because hotels are closed, but still the bills are increasing, and that is not what we want. So I say to everybody, for this election, the most important election we've had for a long time, make sure you vote for a party that wants to see Nevis progress. Make sure you vote for a party that has done it before and can do it again. NRP is always, always the best party for Nevis. Now, when we look at the federal money that is provided, these are the things that we must recognize. In Nevis 11, in St. James in particular, I have spoken to a number of single mothers who tell me how they struggle to find daycare services for their children. And when we look at what the situation is in St. James's, and there has been no attention. Imagine you're living here and you can accommodate maybe 20 children for all of these children. And so now imagine you have to take your child to a private person to look after your child. Well, what happens if that person is sick? You now cannot afford to go to work because you have to look after your child. But not even that. The minimum wage has not changed. And so by the time you do put in a day's work, have to buy your groceries, have to pay your daycare services, you're not improving your standard of living. And these are the things we're saying. You must have a government that can understand these hardships and know that something needs to be done. Provides jobs. That is one of the key things that we have to look at. Now, when we say, if NRP was in government with $400 million, remember, under NRP, without $400 million, we were able to pay our civil servants. And under NRP, without $400 million, we didn't have to raise electricity, and we did not raise the water bills. Imagine if we had $400 million, how Nevis would have prospered, how Nevis would have advanced. And so we have to look at, we speak about the peace program. And I talked to a number of people. And some of them said, you know, I went off to school, I have my student loan, and these guys are getting the peace money, and I have to be working so hard to pay my loan. Under NRP, everybody in Nevis should be able to feel the benefit of having $400 million come through here. And so under NRP, we would ensure that we have a fund in place to pay the interest of student loans so that the students do not have to worry about that additional burden when they come back home. We need to improve the standard of living. We need to make sure that our young people can grow. We must empower them to ensure that they can see a brighter future for them and for their children. Again, we speak about housing. And with $400 million, NRP would ensure that you have a means to pay for your home. We know that when you're paying the rent, you have to pay the rent and you still have to try to find the deposit to pay for your house. And we're saying that under NRP, we would put a fund in place to pay that deposit for you. Because many times you're paying the rent. And when you're paying the rent, you cannot get a chance to save what is required in order to make that deposit. So these are the type of programs. If we can help you in those simple ways, then it can advance you and help you to move forward. So we definitely would want to ensure that affordable housing is really affordable housing, and look at the cost of houses when NRP was in government. NRP understood that when something is affordable, it must be within the range of what your salary is. You cannot say you have affordable housing, and then you cannot afford. In 1 or 2 years, you're back before the bank asking for forgiveness, etc. So we are saying with $400 million, NRP would ensure that everybody can have equal access to the opportunities of affordable housing. Now, I spoke about a medical fund, because I know right here we have people who need to travel for medical services, but they're not able to afford the cost of it. And so with $400 million, we keep saying we should not be where we have to go around and have all of these fundraisers. Not with $400 million. And of course with NRP, it would be more than $400 million, because we would not sit in Parliament for 7 years, do absolutely nothing. And then when we are out, we try to complain about it. Now, some of the things that we have to look at in terms of creating employment opportunities, which is the #1 priority for NRP. We must ensure that people are gainfully employed. Too many times people have to be working 2 jobs and 3 jobs just to make ends meet. And that is not the quality of life that you want to be able to provide. Too many times we've looked at where Nevis has been with education. And since NRP is out of government, you have not seen any advancement in the education system. And so I spoke to a young person who told me his typical day. Have to wake up earlier in the morning than his counterparts in St. Kitts, because he has to take a taxi, then get to the water ferry, the water taxi, then go over to St. Kitts, take another taxi, go to CFPC. And in the evening, you have to do the same coming back. Now, how can we say that we're giving our young people a fair opportunity? That cannot be fair. And so since the Sixth Form College has been there, we really need to look at providing educational opportunities for our people here in Nevis. And this is one thing when we say Nevis is our first priority. It's not just about education and medical services and job opportunities. Our people should not have to travel to St. Kitts for all of these services. And so when we say Nevis first, we must ensure that we can provide these services for our people in Nevis. We can recall when people used to travel from St. Kitts to come to Nevis to work. That was under NRP. Now it's the reverse. And we are saying NRP is the government, is the party that understands that the people can only benefit if we perform. Performance matters. This is what NRP has always been saying. The people would only benefit when your government performs. And we are saying that this CCM government, these representatives have not performed at all. They did not perform in the federal level, and they have not performed on the local level. Our people are struggling too much. Nevis is going backwards, and I'm saying for this coming election, make that choice, because we all know that Nevis has always been better under NRP government, under NRP representation. And so we look at where we are. We look at where we are today. And I would ask you to reflect. Under NRP, your standard of living. Under CCM, your standard of living. And I want you to take a deep look at the candidates that NRP is putting forward to represent you at the federal level, and make that decision to know that with NRP, you would get the best representation. You would get the best representation. NRP would not go to St. Kitts to mash up the federal government and then come outside to say NRP did not help. NRP did not help us. What? Tell me, how does that make sense? How does that make sense? CCM is in government. They mash up the federal government and then come out and said, it's NRP fault because NRP didn't help them. Well, we told them that NRP is best for Nevis. And I want the people of Nevis to understand that NRP is best for Nevis. So when we have this next election, ensure that NRP is the party that is selected to represent you. And with that, I would say Nevis is our first priority. The people of Nevis are our first priority. And we must understand that if Nevis is to go forward, you need people who understand. You need people who care about other people. You need people who want to see Nevis progress. And I'm saying NRP is the party that would ensure that we can go forward. So to everybody, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this evening. And remember, NRP is best for Nevis. NRP is best for Nevis. Always has been best for Nevis. And we must say, you took a chance before with the other party. You took a chance with them. They told you to give us a chance. They came back, they said, strengthen us and send all three. And they went down with all three and they came back with 0. We cannot afford to put Nevis in that position again. We must make that decision to move Nevis forward. You need representation. You need people who can understand. You need people who knows what is required in order for Nevis to be better. NRP always says performance matters. You must perform. You must perform. And ask the 3 representatives that you have now, what have they done for the people of Nevis in the federal government? And all that they will tell you they were able to do is to get fired because they sat for 7 years and did not do what they were supposed to do. And now they're out of government and want you to send them back again. Well, we can guarantee you that an NRP government, the first order of business would be to ensure that our fair share is legislated and no longer will we have to go and be at the mercies of the Prime Minister with regards to our fair share. They had 7 years, they squandered the opportunity. They had the chance down the court, they did nothing with it. And we cannot afford, with those opportunities squandered, to take another chance with that party. This is the time for NRP. This is the time for NRP. This is the time for the party that understands. This is the time for the party that understands what representation at the federal level means. And you can be assured that Nevis would be on the up and up, and Nevis would be progressive, and our people would have a much better standard of living again because your NRP party cares about the people of Nevis. To everybody, good night. Thank you. NRP, this is the time for NRP. This is the time for NRP. Thank you.
Brothers and sisters, you hear the leader of the Nevis Reformation Party? Give another round of applause, man. Give another round of applause. All right. Brothers and sisters, we thank you very much for coming here to Brick Hill tonight. We're going to hand over to the DJ now, but we say to you, join us at Crannock Road tomorrow at Bufford Shop in Crannock Road. And on Tuesday night, we are in Fountain. So see you tomorrow at Bufford Shop in Crannock Road and Fountain on Tuesday. God bless and have a pleasant evening. And remember, vote Nevis Reformation Party for peace, progress, and prosperity. Okay?
She's a good leader. Protect your pride and lose character. Nevis our first priority. Johnny shine bright, could I never dim. She not for the people. a good leader. Protect your pride, no lose character. Nevis our first priority. Janice shine bright, could I never dim. Nevis our first priority. Change must come in this economy. Janice, take a look on society. Nevis can't go back to poverty. Find this part of prosperity. Good vibes, rev off the energy. Nevis is a place where you wanna be. Let me tell you about Janice. She no follow back her people. She know you know where you into. Such and different style, different flow. Positive and up, so the thing go. Good and evil could never ever mingle. No, she no go that we understand. We understand. Janice no follow people. She's a good leader. Protect your pride and lose character. Nevis our first priority. Janice shine bright, could I never dim. She no follow people. She's a good leader. Protect your pride and lose character. Nevis our first priority. Janice shine bright, could I never dim. St. James people, vote for Janice, vote for NRP.